Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Michi Catanese. I'm the Product Marketing Manager here at Smith Micro Software. This is the Simplifying Your Animation Workflow in Anime Studio with Pre-Made Characters and Backgrounds webinar. Our presenter today is Victor Paredes. Many of you are probably familiar with Victor and his work. He's an award-winning animator and master at Anime Studio. He's been a part of a team who's created several animations for Smith Micro. And as well, he's worked on the characters that have been included in the last couple of versions. He's also done a number of webinars for us. I'm sure you've attended some of those. He's done a great job on those, and we welcome him back always. He's also very active in the Lost Marble Forum. He used to go under Seljan, but has recently changed it to his name, Victor Paredes. So if you're in the forums and have any questions, feel free to ask him, and he's really good about getting you answers. Victor, we can hear you. A couple of things before we get started. I want to let everyone know that all attendees will be in listen-only mode today. We will have a question and answer session at the end of the webinar, so if you have any questions, please type them in the questions window, and we'll do our best to get to as many as we can. And lastly, this webinar is being recorded today. It will be posted on our website within 24 hours. If you want to follow us in social media, we'll be sure to announce when it's available. So I know that you're all pretty anxious to see what Victor has to share with you today, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to him and let him get started.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I want to start this webinar, and it is about simplifying your workflow by using pre-made content. It is a webinar focused on new users, but I am sure that pro users can find interesting stuff also. So I will give you some tips for character construction, and I want to start by using debut, and then I will go to pro. Okay, so I am using here debut in beginner's mode, which means all these tools are bigger and have explanations for each. So when you open debut, it will appear one of the main characters of Anime Studio. In this case, I got the dragon, so you can test this character with the manipulate bone tool. Okay, and you can play with it. But today I want to work with other characters from a new content pack we made at the Smith Micro, which is the Halloween content pack, and I want to show you something about how to use pack and how to use pre-made characters for your videos. So I will create a new file here, and I want to import, for example, the zombie character. So I will go to debut and go to File, Import, Anime Studio Object, and go to the folder of my characters and select the zombie. So I open it. The software will ask me to confirm importing the zombie. Okay, so now we have the character, and we can use this tool, which is the manipulate bone tool. When you are working the first time in Anime Studio, you will be on frame 0, and you can use the manipulate bone tool to test the character. When we are in frame 0 here, we can move the character, so I can rotate the parts of the character. Okay, but I am not generating any animation. I am just testing the character. So when you be able to create your own characters, in frame 0 you test them to see if everything is working nice. Okay, so you can test here, and this character has smart bones. Okay, smart bones are controls for some parts of the characters, so you can't create smart bones directly in the view, but you can edit or play with that smart bones in the view. To create a smart bones, you need to have the pro version. Okay, but here are the smart bones. So for example, we have this bone, which I can rotate and make my character blink. Okay, and I have this other smart bone, which opens and closes the mouth. Okay, so I am just testing my character here and everything is working. Okay, the characters in the content pack have already made animations, so if I play this animation, you can see the character is working. Okay, so I will rewind this and I will take this red line here, and with this red line I can move myself in the timeline. Okay, so to start I will go to frame 1, which is the frame where my actual animation starts, and I want to use this walk cycle, so I want the character to move from the left of the screen to the right of the screen. So I will select the transform layer tool, this one. I am on frame 1, and if I drag my character here, I can move it to the left of the screen. Okay, and with this tool I also can scale the character. So if I drag in this circle here in the corner, I can scale my character. Okay, so I am moving and scaling, and let's suppose that in second 5, so I will move here second 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In second 5, I want my character to walk here, but also become bigger. Okay, because he's working in perspective. So now I have my character moving from one side of the screen to the other. Okay, and you can see how when I was at second 5 here, a keyframe, this little circle here is called keyframe, a keyframe was created. Okay, so every time I move something in this software, a keyframe will be created. Okay, so now let's suppose I want my character to walk to the left again. So I will flip it. If I have this tool selected, here I have some options for this tool. So here I have flip. So if I flip this, I press flip, the character now is looking to the left. So I will go to, I don't know, second 7, and I will move the character to the other side, and I can scale it. Okay, so we have this animation, and of course I can hit play and see how is it working. Okay, but now we are in beginners mode, which is easier for new users, but once you get used to these tools, you can jump to the normal mode. So we will jump now to normal mode, and to do that we click here and check this. So now you can see my tools are smaller and I have more tools to work with. And also I want to make another thing. You can see here in the timeline, I only see one line with the keyframes. Okay, it was it was made this way because only one line can keep things simpler. But if we want to make a little more complex animation, we will have to see more channels. So, for example, in this keyframe, I move the character, but I also scale the character. So here is translation information and scale information, and it is showing me only one keyframe. So I want to have all that separated. So what I'm gonna do is go to animation and check consolidate layer channels. Okay, so I click that, and you can see now my timeline is more complex. Okay, but don't worry, it is easy to understand it. And now, if I look at these channels, you can see I have a layer translations channel. So this channel shows me all the movement I made for the translation of the character. So if I move, for example, in second 3, I move the character again here, you can see a keyframe was created in this channel. Okay, so in this channel I see all the keyframes only for translation. Okay, and of course, if I don't want the translation, I can select all the keyframes and press delete in the keyboard, and now the character is not moving. It is not being translated, only scaled and flipped. Okay, so I will undo this. Okay, I will erase this keyframe. And you have other channels here. For example, you have a scale, so now you can know exactly where the character is scaling, and I can move these keyframes, so I can make the character to scale before or after. Okay, and I also have the channel for flip, so every time I flip the character, a keyframe will appear here. Okay, so maybe if I want to flip the character before I move it, and now the character flips before starting going to the other side. Okay, so everything you move will create a keyframe, and that keyframe will show a channel. So for example, with this same tool, the transform layer tool, if I drag the mouse in between of these two rectangles, I can rotate my layer. So now I can make my character to look down, for example here, and a new channel appear here. Okay, so maybe when he is going to flip, he starts here and then rotate here. Okay, so I can play with it, and it is easier to edit all this. If we go back to consolidate layer channels, you can see I don't have too many information about what is happening here. I only see several keyframes together, so that's why it is easier. Now, these are the keyframes for the bones. Okay, it looks more complex, and it is a little more complex, but it is simple enough. So to show you, I will erase this animation. Okay, so now I have no animation for this character, and I want to show you something. Let's suppose we are in second one, and I want to use the manipulate bone tool, so I will move the arms back. Okay, so I have the arm back. Suppose the body goes forward, and I also want to move the mouth. So I have this animation, my character moving the arms and opening the mouth. Okay? So you can see that when I rotated these bones by using the manipulate bone tool, it appeared the bone angle channel. Okay? But this angle has two flavors, the gray one and the red one. Okay? So here's the thing. The red one shows me the keyframes only for the selected bones. Okay? And in this case, the selected bones are the bones which are in red. So you can see currently the selected bone is this one, which is the bone which moved the mouth. Okay? So, for example, I can use the select bone tool and select only the bones of this arm, okay, and I can select the keyframes of these bones in the red line, and I can make this arm to move slower than the rest. So now the character, if I check my animation, the character opens the mouth, and once it finished opening the mouth, the arm continue moving. Okay? So it is easier to edit things and to offset movements by selecting and changing movements for different parts. So if I go back and select my mouth, I can close the mouth, then open it, then close it again. So you can see my mouth has 4 keyframes here. Okay, so it is moving at a different time, and I can take these keyframes and change the speed of that movement. Okay, so with these two lines we have the red line shows me the keyframes of the selected bone or bones, and the gray line is like a general view of all the bones. So if any of the bones has rotation in these times, a keyframe will be shown in the gray line. Okay, so it is less specific than the red one. Okay, now when using the manipulate bone tool, I can rotate the bones, but there are some bones that moves instead of rotate. So for example, in this content pack and in most of the Anime Studio 11 files, if I select the bone, the belly bone here, I can move the character. Okay, so I am not rotating this bone, I am moving it, I am translating it. Okay, so once I do that, a new channel appears, the bone translation channel. Okay, so this channel has its own timeline. You can see it has independent keyframes. Okay, and the same principle works here. The red line shows me the keyframes of the selected bones, and the gray line shows me the keyframes of every bone. Okay, so for example, I can translate the body here, but I can also translate the legs. Okay, so you can see this leg, which is selected now, only has one keyframe here. Okay, so I can edit that. So for example, in this case, the legs are moving from the initial position or the initial pose, which is in frame 0, and they start moving and move until getting this this new position here in the keyframe. So I can select both bones. I will press Shift to select more than one bone. So I have these two bones selected, and I can go to this frame, select this keyframe in the red line, and copy and paste it here. Okay, so this way I am sure that the legs won't move during all this time because they share the same position in both keyframes. Okay, so you can see they are not moving until this change. Okay, so there is another tool here in the bones, which is the transform bone tool. Okay, and this transform bone tool allows me to, oh sorry, I have to unselect first these two bones. So to unselect a bone, I just select the bone tool, the select bone tool, and click over nothing, and now you can see there are no bones selected. Okay, and now if I take the transform bone tool, this tool let me rotate a bone, okay, just like the manipulate bone tool, but if I click on this dot, I can scale this bone, you see, and if I don't like the scale, I can reset the scale here, okay, and also if I take the bone from this dot in the base, I can move the bone, okay. So for bones, I basically have three channels: scale, oh sorry, angle, translation, and scale. Okay, and each of these three channels have its own red line or his own selected bone channel. Okay, so now I want to go to Pro. This is a very basic idea about how the timeline works in Anime Studio, and now I want to go to Pro. Okay, here is my Pro version of the software with a darker skin, and in this new file I want to import another Anime Studio object, okay, also from the content pack you can get in the Smith micro pages. I will import this background, okay, which is included with the pack. So I open it, I confirm the software to open this background, and you can see this background is a group which contains several folders or several other groups, okay. And the good thing about these backgrounds is that, for example, if I want to move the camera, I go to second 5, and now I can go to the camera tool, track camera, and I can move the scene to the side. So you can see that I am getting a parallax effect. You see that the different parts of the background are moving at different speed. Okay, so it is very good to give a depth sensation. Okay, so for example, my camera will get here, and I will go to frame 1 here, and I want the camera to start here. Okay, so now if I hit play, my background is moving from left to right, or actually the camera is moving from left to right. Okay, so now I want to import a character to this background. So to import a character, it is very important to go back to frame 0, okay, because the frame 0 is where we built the scene. So everything you import has to be in frame 0. So I will go again to import, okay, Anime Studio object, and I will import the mommy here. Okay, so I have this character, and you can see, sorry, I will put this up here. I just drag it over the background, and you can see this character has its own bones and its own smart bones. Okay, so I can change the hands, move the mouth. Okay, rotate. It is a similar construction to the other one, and this character is also walking. Okay, but now I want to show you something. The parallax effect of this background is there because these layers are organized in 3D. So when you organize the layers in 3D, you get the parallax effect. So if you want to see how the 3D is looking, you can go to the orbit tool here. So I can orbit my scene. So here you can see how the sky is very far away and the moon is even more far away, and the house and everything else. So you can see the character is here, okay, which is the neutral position in 3D, okay. But let's suppose I want my character to walk over this null, okay. So this one is the cemetery null. So I will look here, and here is it, cemetery null. Okay. So I will open this group, and now I will drag my character over this. Okay. And you can see how automatically the character now is in the same position that the cemetery. Okay, so that will make that the character will get the same parallax effect than this null. So once I am sure, I will reset the view to go back to the normal view, and now I will scale my character. Okay, so I will scale the character. Let's suppose here, and now I want my character to walk to the right, so I will flip the layer. Okay, and you can see my character is walking, okay, but he's not moving from its place, but he's walking. Okay, in this case, when you see the walking action here, the keyframes, you see the character continue walking even when here are not keyframes. Okay, that is because at the end of this walking there is a cycle. Okay, and a cycle tells the software that the character will repeat this action, okay, until I tell the software I don't want this action anymore. So from now the character will continue walking to the end of times. Okay, so in frame 1 I will take the character and I want to move it down. I will hide the bones here to see the character more clearly. I will rotate a little. So let's suppose in second 5 he will be here. Okay, so now my character is walking. Maybe it is too fast, so I will move it to second 5. Okay, that way I like more. and in between maybe it can go up. Okay, so I have my character walking here. Okay, and now once he gets to this position, I want to stop it. So to stop the cycle here, I simply need to add keyframes for the bones, because the bones are the pieces of the character which are moving with the cycle. So here in the gray channel of each bone, I will double click here to add a keyframe for rotation of all the bones, double click to add a keyframe for translation of all the bones, and here double click for add a key for scale for all the bones. So I just freeze this pose. So now if I check my scene, let's check it. So you can see the character is walking, and once get here it stops because I added these keyframes. Okay, so now I will go back to frame 0 and I want to import another character. So I will go to I will select the mansion background and I will go to import, general import, and I will select the pumpkin bat, okay, which is this character. Okay, so I hit okay, and you can see this character is a pumpkin which wants to be a bat. Okay, so it is flying and you can check its bones, so it can rotate, okay, and it can open and close the mouth. Okay, and the wings of this character are made with frame by frame. So you can see these are all these frames, and all them are different drawings. So this is a way you can combine frame by frame with bone animation. Okay, so our pumpkin is flying, but I will go again to frame 0 and I want to use the orbit tool, and let's suppose I want my character of the pumpkin to be over this null. So I will close this character and I think this is the path. This layer here is the path, you see? So I will open this and put my character inside it. Okay, so you can see how the position of the pumpkin changed. Okay, so now it will work fine with the camera. So I reset the view and now I will adjust with the transform layer tool. I will move the character here, scale it, okay, and move it here. I can use the hand here, the hand tool, to move my scene here, so I can play with the character better. So I can scale it, let's suppose here. So now our character is flying here. I will put the view in the center. Okay, this rectangle is our video. Okay, so everything which is out of the rectangle won't be rendered in the final video. Okay, so to see only the image which will be in my video, I can go to view and select show output only. So I press this and now I see only what will be shown in the screen. So I hit play to check my animation, and here is the mummy, and he goes to see his pumpkin friend. Okay, but maybe the pumpkin is too far away, so we can animate him. So maybe he appears here. Okay, so I will create, with the transform layer tool, I will create a keyframe here. So I will click just to create a keyframe, and now here I will move it to the left. So now he flies to be closer to his friend. Okay, and to make a better fly, we can make the character maybe go down and then go up. Okay, and maybe he can rotate. So I will click, I will make a little zoom here. You can make zoom with this tool by dragging the mouse left or right. Okay, so I will move here. And to add a rotation to the layer, you remember I have these two rectangles, and if I go in between, I can rotate the layer. Okay, so I want my character to rotate here, and maybe when it ends the movement, rotate to the other side, and then rotate to the normal. Okay, so here is what I have. Okay, so I will move and zoom out my scene and hit play to see what is happening. Okay, so I can fix some stuff. Okay, and you can see from this character, from the mommy character, you can see that when he moves, these lines here, I don't know the word in English, but these lines move automatically. Okay, so you don't need to animate them, and they just follow the movement of the mummy. Okay, so you can check them. When he stops, the lines also stop. Okay, so this character have a lot of automatic animation. Okay, so I can import another character here. I went to frame 0, go to File, Import, Anime Studio Object, and I will import the ghost. Okay, so I have the ghost character, and you can see the ghost character has its own animation too, and I will check this in frame 0 to show you how it works. So he can move the arms, okay, and he can move the mouth, open and close it, and he can blink and be evil. Okay, so I have the ghost, and now again I will set the orbit tool, and maybe I want the ghost to be at this null. So I will look for this. It is the 3 null, this one. So I will put my ghost there. You can see how he moved. Okay, so once I have that, reset the view. I can go to view here to uncheck show output only, and now I can move my ghost to the left, and I can scale it. Okay, let's suppose here, and now I will see how this is working. So if I hit play, the camera follows the mummy, he gets and see its 3 characters. Maybe the ghost could fly from here, so I click to create a keyframe to here. Okay, or maybe he just go out. He doesn't like the mommy, so he goes out of the scene. Okay, and you can see this bone is animated automatically. Okay, so we are making this scene with the pre-made content. So now let's suppose you want to make this animation for a friend. Okay, and let's suppose your friend is Mark Twain and Miguel de Cervantes. Okay, so you have a picture of your friends, and you can crop it. In this case, I have GIMP, but you can use Photoshop or any other software you want. So I crop it to make it to have no background, okay, and save these images as a PNG, okay, or as a PSD, or any kind of image which supports transparency or alpha channel. So I have these characters, and I will go to frame 0, and I will import these images. So I will to import image, and these images are here. So I select the two, open. Okay, so now I have Mark Twain and Cervantes, which are your friends. So now I will make that the mummy, I will look for the mummy, which is inside the cemetery, and the mummy will have the head of Mark Twain. So I open the bone layer of the mummy, which is something like a group, but with bones, and I will drag the head of Mark Twain here. Okay, and once I do that, I will hide Mr. Cervantes for this, but once I do that, I will zoom in, okay, and I will put this head to be in the right size, okay. And now to make this head to be the head of my character, I will bind the head, I will bind this image to the head bone. So to make that, I will use this tool, which is called bind layer. Okay, so with this tool I bind a layer to a bone. So I will bind this layer to this bone. You can see when I click the bone becomes red and bold. That means the head is bound to it. So now I will hide the original head, which is this one, and if I check my animation, now the mummy is actually Mark Twain walking to see his friend, okay? But his friend, which is your friend too, is Miguel de Cervantes. So I will go to the layer which contains the pumpkin, okay? And I will drag Mr. Cervantes here, okay? And I will hide all the other layers which are the head of Cervantes. So I will put it here, okay? I will show the bones, zoom in. Okay, so here is Cervantes flying as usual, and I will bind this layer to this bone. Okay, so now I can check my animation. I will reset the view. I can set view output only, and I will uncheck the bones to not see it. And now I have my animation here. So you have your animation. Okay, now let's suppose you will send this animation to your friends, so you can create a text. So let's suppose I will use insert text tool. Okay, so I have the text and I will write, I don't know, I love you, Mark and Miguel. Okay, so I hit OK here, and now I have my text. Okay, but I want this text to appear only when the camera is with the characters. So in frame 1, I will click this little triangle here. You can see the layer has a triangle, and I will uncheck visible. So now if I click on some place else, you can see this layer is not visible. Okay, and I will make it visible here. So I go back to the triangle, make it visible, but now I will move it to get here. So let's suppose it appears from above. So here's it. So you have your animation for your two friends. Okay, so once you are done, let's suppose your animation lasts until frame 192. So I will write here 192, press enter, and once I am done, I am ready with my video. I go to File and press Export Animation. Okay, so it appears a window here which you can investigate later, but I will set MP4 and hit OK. The software will ask me where I want to save my animation. I will tell in my desktop, give it some nice name and save. So now the software will start rendering the final animation. Okay, so once all these bars are ready, your animation will be ready and will be a video you can share or upload to YouTube or Facebook or anything else. So you can tag Mark Twain and Cervantes in your Facebook. Now about this is more for pros, about what have I learned about creating characters for content packs or the characters for the new versions of Anime Studio. So first, I think it is very important to make a simple rig. I will create a new file and import. Let's see the vampire. I will import general import. Import Anime Studio object. Halloween content pack, the vampire. Okay. So my idea here with the characters is to create powerful but simple characters. So you have several bones to play with, but not too much. Okay, so I have some smart bones here for the blink, for the mouth. Okay, another one for the mouth, okay. And the eyes movement. Okay, so you have the head here. So the idea is to make the character very easy, or the easiest you can, so the user be able to manipulate. Also, I think it is a good idea to include actions with your character. In this case, the character has the walk action, so if I hit play, you can see him walking. Okay? For the view users, the view users don't have the actions window, so I recommend you to put the work action or any other action directly in the timeline. Okay, so that way they are free to use or not, or don't use the work cycle or whatever action you want. I recommend you to create actions which are reusable, like a work cycle. If you make a too specific action, you will be showing people how cool is your character, but that action won't be useful for them. Okay, so I recommend you that. I recommend you also to save these actions in the action window. You can go to window and open the action window. Okay, if you know the software, you will know what I am talking about. Okay, so I recommend you to save the action here, so that way I can just erase the keyframes here and insert. Where is the action? Okay, sorry, what's my mistake? I will create the work action. Okay, so you have the work action, so that means if I erase this, I can call at any time the work, so my character will start working anytime I want. Okay, so it is saved and it is I am sure that the action can be called. Okay, so you see our render is ready, so you can see your final video. It is beautiful. And so that if you want, you can make your characters to make lip sync. Okay, so you can use switch layers to make different modes, and you can create many stuff, but the idea is to keep it as simple as powerful, as simple and powerful as possible. Okay, so I think that's all. Also, finally, for this content pack, I also put the promo video here, so you can actually open that promo video inside Anime Studio. So I think it is nice for users because they can see exactly how the characters can be used. I will uncheck the audio. Okay, so you can see the characters in action in a professional looking video. Okay, so that way people can investigate how it is all set up. Okay, or can make modifications for this video. Okay, so I think I am done. I don't know if you have any questions. Okay,
Great.
thank you for watching.
Thanks, Victor. We do have a number of questions. Again,
Okay.
if you have a question for Victor, please type it in the questions window and we'll do our best to get to them all. We're probably going to run over a few minutes. If you can stick with us, that would be great. If you have to drop off, we'll understand. Victor, I'm going to go back to the beginning and
Okay.
start with the questions there. So probably go back to the debut version. I think some of these might pertain to that. First question is there a way to show the tool icons in large format like that on AS Pro 10 as they are on my high DPI screen? I guess that.
I am not sure, but I think people is actually working for that, but I am not sure is available right now. But I know they are working to make Anime Studio to look better in bigger screens.
Okay, great. Okay, the next one. How do you put bones in place that don't smear when you move them? Do you know what they're talking about there?
Yes, that is more about character construction. Let me see if I can make a fast test. Okay, let's suppose I have this is the body of my character. Okay, and I will paint an arm and another arm and a head. Okay, so it is a very ugly character, but it will work for this. For example, if you create bones directly here, so I will create one bone, 2, 3, and bones for the arms. Okay, so I say, okay, I am done. I have my character already made. But when I move the arm, the entire body and the head also moves. Okay, so it doesn't look too good. Okay, I will make, let's suppose this character has bigger ears, okay, or I don't know, it's the Princess Leia. And if I move the arms, you can see these shapes are also moving, okay? So to avoid that, there are several ways. The way I like the most is to select the layer. For example, select the layer for the arm, and then go to the Select Bone tool, select the bones which should move only the arm, and go to Bone and select Use Selected Bones for Flexi Binding. So I am telling the software that this part of the body will only move with these two bones. Okay, so I set that, and I will make the same for the other arm. So I select the other arm layer, select the bones, select the menu, and I will make the same for the head. So the head, I want to move only with this bone. So I select this bone and use this menu. Okay, so now if I test this, you can see the arms are not distorting the head anymore, and the head is not distorting the arms. Okay, so you can do that for all the layers. But to make that, it is important that every part of the body be in a different layer. Okay, so it works with vectors and also with images. So you just you have to take care to separate everything, because if you make everything in a single layer, it will be harder to work with. There are solutions, but are harder.
Okay, great. Thank you, Victor. I have a comment regarding the previous question about the icons. I believe there was an improvement made in the 11.1 update on that. So if you go and grab the update, you should be able to do what you want to do there. So
Oh, great.
another quick question. Someone's asking if the Halloween pack works in version 10. So it does work in version 10 debut or pro or higher, so 10 or 11. Okay.
Yeah, work in both.
Okay. Someone is asking in regards to this character, are all the pieces of your character in one layer?
Of this character? No,
Yeah.
it is separated in several layers. If I open this, you can see I have arm right, body, leg, the other arm, and I have a group for the head. So if you open the group of the head, you have several other layers. So I have the nose, the mouth, the head or cranium, and the eyes. I think the eyes are inside a group, and the group has a mask applied. So you can see this shape here, which is not visible, but when this shape moves inside the eyes, it is visible. Okay, so this way it is very easy to make blinks or something else, because you can put the shapes out of or outside of the eyes, and then just make them appear. Okay, so you organize your character depending on what do you want. In my case, I separated the arms and leg and body to make the rigging easier, and I create the group for the eyes to create a mask. Okay, so depending on what do you want is the way of this structure will look.
Victor, are you still with us?
Yeah, I think
Okay, you finished.
I
Okay,
finished.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. I didn't
Okay.
realize you were done with that. Here's a quick question that I want to address fast. Someone is asking how Anime Studio is integrated inside Unity 3D. So you can export files from Anime Studio with the FBX file format and bring them into Unity. If you don't know what Unity is, it's a game engine. So you can make characters for games to be used inside Unity.
Yes.
Okay, next question. Is there an anime template for bone rigging?
No, there is not a template. It is actually rigging are always different, so it is hard to have a template which work with everything. So, and it is very easy to create a basic rig. So I think it is not much necessary these days. But Anime Studio has the character wizard. If you want something like that, with the character wizard you can create or adapt pre-made characters with its own rig.
Okay, so here's another question that's asking if you can automate or reuse rigs for similar characters. So you kind of just answered that in saying that everything's different, but do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, no, everything is different, but for example, this won't work, but if I create another character here, I will create, um, let's suppose, okay, it will look very bad, but here is my character. Okay, I am not using GPU, so the drawing tools are not working so well, but I have this character which is basically the same than the other one. Okay, so I can copy all these bones and paste them on this character. So of course it won't work very well, but because the rig is not made, but I can reuse the rig. Okay, so the basic functions are working. Okay, so yes, you can copy and paste bones from one character to another, and a good thing about that is that you can recycle animations. So if you make one character walk, you can copy that keyframes and make your other character walk. So it is nice. It can be done. Of course, it doesn't work for this character, but if you put a little more time, you can.
Okay, great. Here's a quick question. How do you make Anime Studio to cycle the animation?
Okay. I will use Pro for this, just to work faster. Okay. I have this character, okay? So let's suppose I want a very simple cycle. I want to open and close the mouth. So in frame 1, I take the manipulate bone tool, open the mouth. Then in frame 7, for example, here, I close the mouth. And then in this frame, I open the mouth again. Okay, so I have this. If I want to repeat this, I just right click on the keyframe. Okay, in this case, I only want to repeat the movement of this bone, so I will make the right click in the red line and set cycle. Okay, and I will tell it will open this window, and I will tell the software that I want this cycle to go back to frame 2. Okay, so once I do that, it appears this arrow, and now my character will be moving the mouth until I create a new keyframe. So for example, if I want the character to stop moving the mouth, I create a new keyframe here, and now he will stop. So the cycle works on each bone. Each bone can have an independent cycle, so I can have a cycle for the single hand, or the mouth, or the eyes, or anything else. But I can also have a cycle which covers the entire character, like the work cycle. So in the work cycle, the entire character is moving, but it is nice to have different cycles going on. For example, I can make my character blink. Let's suppose I want to make this character blink each 1 second. So I will make the character blink in second 1 here, and I can cycle this. So I select the last keyframe of the movement, right click, cycle, okay, and now this character will blink each second, okay, and you can see how the blink cycle is independent to the mouth. Okay, so you can create very complex animation with different cycles inside.
Okay, great, Victor. We have quite a few more questions. We are already over time, so we'll try and get in a few more. Maybe if we could just give them quick answers if possible, try and get as many in as we can. Someone's wanting to know how you create characters in other programs, so you could create them in, say, Manga Studio or Photoshop. Do you want to address that really quickly?
Okay, let me. I have GIMP open here, so it will be faster to work in this. So I will create a new file in GIMP, which is very similar to Photoshop. Okay, so here are the layers. Okay, so I just create a new layer and paint. This is the head of my character, so I can name this layer head. Then I create a new layer. It is very similar to what I made with vector layers. So I create the body and then a new layer and create the arm and so on. When I am done, I just save this file. Oops, where is my file? Here is it. I just save this file as or export probably. I export this file to PSD, which can be created with Photoshop, with Manga Studio, with Corel Photo Paint, or any other software. So PSD is here is it. So I save my character. Okay. Export, and now here is. Oops. I save it as PNG, but if you save it as PST, I don't know why it didn't work, but you can save that as PSD, so then you can import the character inside Anime Studio, and every layer from the PSD will be imported as a layer in Anime Studio. For example, here is a better example. I have PSD for the forest and for the other background. So, for example, if I take this file and import this image into Anime Studio, the software will ask me, do you want the layers individually or composite? So I tell the software individually. Okay, so now I have all the layers which were in the Photoshop file inside Anime Studio. Okay, so it can be a background or it can be a character or anything else. So that is how it works.
Okay, great. Thank you, Victor. Someone is wondering if you think it's a good idea to include different views of the character also for the content packs, back
Yeah,
view, side view, etc.
yeah, it's actually a good idea. Yeah, it is something I don't worry much with my characters. I mean, I try to make a character in three, what is the name? A character not in profile, in semi-profile, and that will work for many applications. But yeah, it is a good idea to make that. But for example, there are tricks to animate the characters. Let me check, where is this one? Okay, it is here. So for example, I have this character and I don't need, I mean, I can make this character to rotate a little. So let's suppose I want this character to look to the other side. I can simply take this bone and flip it. Okay, so now, oops, so now my character is looking to the other side. Okay, so it is not the best example, but the idea is, if you do this in a good way, no, not the way I am doing now, but if you do this well, with a good anticipation and a good reaction, it looks very good. So for example, here is the character turning to the left and it is not working so bad. Okay, so normally, instead of a very complex character or instead of having many characters, I try to use the character I have to get the position I want. But of course, that is a decision of each user. But yeah, it will be nice to have several views for the same character, of course. Yeah.
Maybe for a beginner who doesn't know all the tricks for Anime Studio and just starting out, having the different views might be easier for them. Maybe they could do more with it. Do you think something like that? Or
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
it can be. It is just for a beginner. It will have to start working with. I mean, each view of the character is a different character actually.
right.
So if you put 5 views of a character, you will have a beginner working with 5 characters instead of 1. So you have to see what is better. So maybe one good character in one good view, or 5 more complex characters to animate for a beginner. So I don't know, you have to search for the balance of that, I
Right.
suppose.
Yeah. Okay, great. So we have several questions on how you create your characters and things, and I think we just don't have the time to go into that, unfortunately. You have done character creation webinars for us before. If you want to go to our channel and look for that, Victor shows you how to do that, how to rig characters, how to create characters. So I'm sorry we can't address those questions today. We just don't have the time because that's going to be pretty lengthy. Um, let's take this one last question. Someone's wondering about the background in the content pack. Did you create that in Anime Studio, or was that done more like in Photoshop?
It is Photoshop and Manga Studio.
In Manga Studio, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, well, we're over time, so we do have questions we didn't get to. I really apologize. I wish we could stay longer, but I don't want to keep everybody. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up now. I have to change my screen, which is not a smooth transition, unfortunately. But here we go. All right, for more information on Anime Studio, go to our website, anime.smithmicro.com. We also have a webinar section on the website, and if you go there, you can see the recording of this webinar as well as past recordings. We also have our upcoming webinars there as well. There is an official forum for Anime Studio, lostmarble.com. As I mentioned before, Victor used to be known as Seljan in the forum, but he has now changed his name to Victor Paredes, so you can find him. I have a hard time with your last name, I apologize. You can now find him under Victor on the forums, and he's always in there. He can answer your questions if you have any. He's a big help there. Be sure to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Twitter. I believe Instagram as well. We will announce when the recording is available if you follow us on social media. And be sure to subscribe to our email list to get the best deals on Anime Studio and the latest news. If you are a teacher or a student, we do have special academic pricing, so you can look into that as well. And lastly, we've got a little bit on Victor. If you want to see some of his work, you can go to his YouTube channel there on the screen. There's the Lost Marble Forum URL as well. And Victor is now officially a part of the Anime Studio team, so we're really thrilled about that. We're thrilled to have him. So again, thank you everyone for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Victor, thank you so much for your time. And we'll see you in the next webinar.